How's it going, everybody? So we have a fun review today as we're talking Daredevil Born Again. Still feels kind of surreal that Daredevil is officially back within the MCU with his own show. I still vividly remember how upset I was back in 2018 when Netflix canceled the series. Then over time, gradually, we got to see some of these characters come back in other projects. Basically, what I'm saying is that it's just amazing that we finally reached this point. Now, having seen all of Daredevil Born Again, because Disney was crazy enough to send us the entire season early. No spoilers here, of course, but Daredevil Born Again pretty much immediately sets the tone right from the brutal opening sequence. There's going to be a lot of thrills and gut punches emotionally reintroducing these characters into the MCU properly. Born Again pretty much recaptures what made Daredevil work so well tonally, and within the story it's attempting to tell. Like, this very much is a dark and serious show compared to a lot of the other Marvel Disney Plus series. The best comparison I could make is that a lot of this feels very reminiscent to Season 1 of Daredevil, serving the dual purpose of a reintroduction to these characters in Hell's Kitchen since the conclusion of Season 3, while exploring many of the different facets of street-level storylines. All of that grit and intensity carries over stylistically, the courtroom drama procedural, and thanks to Wilson Fisk running for mayor, there's even some political angles thrown into the mix with his crusade against vigilantes while Matt's off fighting crime as Daredevil. Before I dive into some of the story a little bit, let's be real. One of the main aspects I was hoping would at least somewhat be as good as the Netflix show is the action. Considering Daredevil delivered some all-around fantastic, iconic fights across all 3 seasons, the bar was pretty high when it comes to replicating that success. The Disney Plus effect to the action sequences in Born Again was to be expected. I found the majority of it to still be stellar and well shot. The brutality on display in some of these battles here, it very much is akin to the Netflix show. Whether that be Daredevil fighting Muse or Daredevil fighting Bullseye once again, those altercations between them bring that bloody, energetic mayhem, with each brawl bringing different exciting ingredients into the mix. By the way, it made me really happy to see that they did bring back Bullseye for Born Again after that teaser, the stinger that we left on at the end of Season 3. All of his screen time in Born Again was pretty great, even if personally, I'm not a huge fan of the suit that he wears in this. Also, it's still hilarious to me that much like in Season 3, he pretty much just throws anything at Matt he can put his hands on to throw at him. Now, I'm not going to be one of those crazy people that says Daredevil Born Again has better fight sequences than the first 3 seasons. What I will say, though, is it definitely seems like Disney Plus wanted to go the extra mile trying to make these brawls Matt gets himself into feel far more superhero-like and larger in scale. They did kind of give us a glimpse of what to expect from Daredevil's fight sequences back in She-Hulk. Matt's pulling off a lot of big acrobatic moves I wasn't sure Matt could even pull before. Maybe it's just the power of the mouse that gave him the extra crazy acrobatic skills. I mean, he was acrobatic before, but this is a lot different. That's to say, the CGI in the show, it's quite noticeable. My experience wasn't ruined anytime there was some CGI in certain sequences, but I had to at least mention that it was not great looking. As for the all-around story for Daredevil Born Again, the journey we go on with Matt in particular is done beautifully. Even if I'm used to it at this point, it pains me time and time again to see how much Matt has to suffer physically and emotionally in every single season of Daredevil. I cannot state enough how perfect Charlie Cox is as Daredevil. Here in Born Again, he continues to solidify that phenomenal progression for Matt Murdock evolving as a character. Many times throughout this season, his crumbled state of mind and his morality is really tested, whether that be through his conflict with Wilson Fisk running for mayor, his continued arcs with Foggy and Karen. Speaking of, by the way, I'm so glad that they're back in this show after initially they were not even going to be included before they rewrote a lot of stuff. But Matt also is tested with the return of Frank Castle and Matt's eventual showdown against Muse. Speaking of Muse, do not expect the showdown between Daredevil and Muse to happen immediately. The build up to their confrontation is pretty exciting. Muse is an intriguing, sick individual. I found him much more interesting than I anticipated going into the show, since his abilities counter Daredevil extremely effectively. The series does take its time, though, when it comes to having them clash. Something that maybe if you're a longtime fan of Daredevil, you're familiar with, the fact that they take a while to get going. For me, the narrative core where Daredevil Born Again is the strongest is everything revolving around Daredevil and Wilson Fisk. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio continue to just be perfectly cast. Any single time Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio have scenes together, sparks really do fly. The rivalry and history between these two continues to be elevated in such exciting ways in Born Again. They spend a lot of time traversing exciting new ground for their feud that added even more excitement disappointment. This is no hate to Echo or Hawkeye in any shape or form, but Kingpin in Born Again is the Kingpin that I truly love. This is the formidable, complex antagonist that made me enjoy the character so much in the original Netflix show, and now that he's propped up trying to become a politician, D'Onofrio emits this extra sinister aura that makes me ecstatic to see his inclusion increase in the overall future of the MCU. Of course, Daredevil Born Again does have far less episodes per season compared to the Netflix show. Personally, I always thought the seasons were a little bit too long anyways, the Netflix shows, not just Daredevil, but pretty much all of them. It never stopped me from binging them all right away, but 13 episodes to binge was a tall task back then. I do mean this in a positive way, but how the story plays out in Daredevil Born Again, it's noticeable that the show is suited for a week-to-week format compared to a binge. You could still binge it, I think it would still be an effective watch, but you could also just watch it one episode per week, or the first week has 2 episodes. Because most of the time the episodes follow that procedural format. Different cases, some characters alternating in and out of the story, some of them being ones that are familiar, like the Punisher. I always loved John Bernthal as the Punisher, and having him back here, even for a little bit, made me very happy, especially because I know we're going to be getting more of the Punisher in the future, whether that be next season or in that special presentation they just announced. There is one cameo in Daredevil Born Again that I'm not 100% sure if they've said it publicly or not, so I'm just going to be cautious. It's one that, you know, it's a character that's familiar, I guess, to the MCU, and it kind of made me scratch my head that he showed up at all. Besides that, however, a lot of these supporting characters in Daredevil Born Again are incredibly strong. Michael Gandolfini impressed me a lot. He doesn't get a lot of stuff early on, but I did like his character. Same goes for White Tiger. That was also a pretty cool addition to the MCU. The only thing that's a real shame about his character, though, for as fantastic as he was when he appeared, I believe in episode 3, is the fact that the actor who portrayed White Tiger in the show sadly passed away back in 2023. So who knows what the future for that character holds if there's going to be one. One thing I am kind of nervous about when it comes to Daredevil Born Again is the expectations fans will probably have pertaining to Daredevil actually donning the costume, the iconic costume. If you're somebody that watched the Netflix show, you would know that there's some long stretches throughout those seasons where Matt doesn't really put on the costume, and if he does put on a costume, it's not the iconic costume that we're all thinking of. Usually it's just all black and some jeans. So all I'll say is just don't be surprised if there's some episodes in Daredevil Born Again where Matt doesn't really put on the costume. The other major positive is that we do know for sure we're getting a season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. They literally just started shooting it a couple days ago. Speaking directly on the conclusion of Daredevil Born Again season 1, it's a pretty fantastic finale. It sets up some pretty exciting stuff for season 2 and some other pretty cool stuff to explore in other MCU projects. Overall, however, Daredevil Born Again gorgeously kicks off a new era for the character on Disney+. Much of the gritty, dark tone of the Netflix series still remains. It showcases a compelling, street-level narrative and bringing along with it some badass, stylized action set pieces that should leave most Daredevil fans satisfied. Once you check out Daredevil Born Again on Disney+, make sure you share your thoughts down below. What'd you think of the show? Did you like the show? Did you not like the show? Thank you guys, as always, for checking out the videos. I always do appreciate it. Make sure to like on the video and also subscribe to the channel so that reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.